For the last few budgets, pensions have been in the ice age. Everything's been pretty much frozen for years. No changes to any of the main pension allowances and no plans to change them either. Well, this year, in the Chancellor's Everything Everywhere All at Once Back to Work budget, it's all changed. There are three big pension changes. The Chancellor covered two headline grabbers in his budget speech, but the one that's likely to make the biggest difference to the biggest number of people, well, you had to look in his budget book to find that. So first of all, why these changes? Well, the Chancellor says the 3.5 million over 50s of working age not currently working, and he's keen to encourage as many of them as possible back into work. So alongside a package of support increasing the availability of midlife MOTs and the launch of a new apprenticeship scheme for over 50s called returnships, there were changes announced to pension allowances. First up, the annual allowance. This is the maximum contribution that can go into your pension between you and your employer, and it's been frozen at £40,000 per year since 2014. Well, it's being raised to £60,000 per year from April, so a 50% jump, taking it back to levels not seen since 2010. Next, we've got the lifetime allowance. This is the maximum that you can take from your pension fund without being subject to a lifetime allowance tax charge, and here the Chancellor really surprised everyone. The rumour was that the lifetime allowance would rise to 1.8 million, but in fact the Chancellor chose to abolish the lifetime allowance completely. Now, it's something that Scottish Widows alongside the industry has called for repeatedly. Either put a cap on what people can put in or a cap on what they can take out, but not both. So it's a really good move, but will only really benefit very high earners and the likes of doctors and those well-paid people in defined benefit schemes. There's one point of detail here to be aware of. Most of us can take 25% of our pension fund tax-free as a lump sum. It's known as tax-free cash. With the abolition of lifetime allowance, the Chancellor has chosen to freeze the maximum tax-free cash figure that can be taken from your fund at 25% of the current lifetime allowance, so £268,725. Again, this is really only going to be an issue for very high earners. But there was one other pension allowance where the Chancellor decided to relax things, and this one affects a much bigger population than annual allowance and lifetime allowance. It's the Money Purchase Annual Allowance, or MPAA as it's known. What is the MPAA? Well, it was brought in back in 2015 when pension freedoms were introduced, and it was specifically aimed at people who took pension benefits and then continued to pay into a pension plan. So imagine you're 57, you're in receipt of a pension and decide you want to go back to work. You get re-enrolled in a pension scheme, and the maximum that you and your employer can pay into your pension was capped at £4,000 per year. Not £40,000, £4,000 per year. And anything more was taxed. The Chancellor's just raised this to £10,000 per year. It's a really sensible move from the Chancellor, and one that will help put older workers on a more even basis as they return to work from early retirement. So that's the main headlines. The big pension thaw is on, and when it comes to pensions, has the Chancellor delivered everything everywhere all at once?